It's time to start, folks. I think first up is a roll call for attendance. So K1UU from the first area is present. Second call area.
And to XDT, Peter is present.
Good evening, Peter. Third call area. Okay, fourth call area.
Here, K9, GWS, Gary.
And Dwight.
I got you both. Good evening, guys. Fifth call area.
Fifth call area present, W6LU.
You're in stereo, Clay.
I fixed it.
Let me.
I think the reverb set a little too high there, Clay.
Okay, no, I'm on two devices.
Right. Okay, sixth call area. I don't see Joe tonight. Seventh call area, Ron?
B7 Nancy.
We got you. Good evening. Eighth call area.
G8WL for the 8th.
My name is David.
Good evening, Ralph. On the ninth call area.
W9ROG, I'm here.
Good evening, Roger. 10th call area.
AA0HF is present.
Okay, we got you and Mac.
David Edwards from Ida. Charles King, first name Caitlin. Charles Ida.
Okay. Sorry, radio turned off.
Okay. DX.
B3CMB, we're here.
Good evening, Craig. VP.
Yeah, 7 p.m.
That's not what the screen shows.
Those are mine.
Okay, I couldn't get any reaction out of him. Good evening, Bob. President.
KL70R here.
Good evening. And Rusty's here as secretary. I see Byron's on too. Okay, folks, the first item, the next item on the agenda is the approval for the minutes for, oh my God, I put September. That's not good. For October, can I get a second?
Second, and to XTT.
Thank you, Peter. And we'll do a roll call vote on approving the minutes. The first area abstains. Second call
Second
area.
area approves.
Okay. Third, no one present. Fourth call area.
Approved, K9, GWS.
Thank you. Fifth call area.
Fifth call area approves for W6LU.
Thank you. Sixth call area. No, not present. Seventh call area.
7th call area approves.
Thank you. Eighth call area.
8th call area approved. KG8WL.
Okay. Ninth call area.
9 approves.
Thank you, Roger. 10th call area.
There is AA0HF approved.
Okay, we got you, Eric. Thank you. DX.
I missed the first part of it, so I'll abstain. DX abstains.
Okay. VP.
Yeah, 7 p.m. VP approves.
Thank you. And President.
President approves, and we've got somebody else checking in.
Okay. Keon, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
Okay. I cannot remember your call sign.
KE3HAY.
Oh, yeah. All right. We got you. And we were taking a vote, Keon, on approving the minutes for the October meeting.
Approved.
Okay. Approve. Okay, so that's once around. I've got 1 not present, 2 abstain, and 10 approves. So obviously that motion carries. Moving on to the financials. The first area, anyone, can I get a second on approving the financials?
Second, B3CMB.
Thank you, Craig. All right, and the first area approved, second call area,
Second area approves, N2XTT.
third call area,
Approves.
got you, fourth call area,
Approve.
fifth,
Fifth approves, WA6LBU.
thank you, sixth not present, seventh call area,
Seventh area approves.
eighth call area,
Eighth area approved, KG8WL.
okay, ninth call area,
9 approves.
thank you. 10 land,
10th approves, AA0HF.
okay, DX, correct?
Yes, approves V3 CMB.
Thank you. VP,
PD approves, TI 7 PM.
thank you, and President.
President approves.
Okay, so I have 12 approves and 1 not present. So obviously
Actually, you have
that carries.
two not present, Fred. 2 not
Two?
present.
Who?
Sixth call area. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
1.
just 1. Yep. Okay. So I think that wraps it up on the normal monthly business. We get the item 4 on the agenda is a discussion regarding the committee reports. Ben went above and beyond with the humor this month. I'd like to point that out. Any other comments on the committee reports? Okay, we will move on. We have no old business. The new business came on, came off, came on, it's off. So the next item on the agenda is an open discussion, and Dean requested some time to discuss expanding QSL options. So do you want to kick us off, Dean?
Sure. So what I noticed last week was, excuse me, we had a lot of back and forth email going on, and I didn't digest it all, and I can't digest it all, but I figured that once I saw that the latest iteration of the motions for the QSL options were withdrawn, I thought, what a better way in the board meeting to kind of open it up and maybe share some of your thoughts so that perhaps Ralph can maybe collect some better ideas to move forward with this, because I think he brings up a couple of good points. So I said, let's do it at the board meeting. So we are open for comments.
Let the old DX step in here first with my.
Let's hey, real quick. Why don't we separate this into the 2 pieces that Ralph proposed? So one was on the electronic side of it by doing logbook stuff, and he wanted to form a committee. So let's just focus on the QSL piece for the first part of this.
Absolutely, and I think the committee would just go off and do the committee. But the 0.0002 cents up here in Canada, guys, I think we need to start moving that way. It's a good idea. You probably saw one of my correspondence back to Ralph. And I don't know. I've got a card that's not a card. I've got a letter that's handwritten on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Now this goes back to the, hard copy days, but to me, that's good QSL. If we're going to do EQSL, which we do, the club is already in the EQSL, why not send a QSL card by email? And that could be a picture of the card, that could be a sketch of the card, or that could be a QSL card, or an email saying call sign, date, time, mode, station worked, report sent, report received. There's always going to be potential for people getting in here and trying to cheat, and as those come up, which they have in the past, we'll deal with those. Anyway, we just need to review it a little bit in my mind, and that's why I would go with the committee to bring it up, but I certainly support moving ahead.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Well, first off, certificate hunters, I forgot, it's been so long ago. Some of the requirements for some of the awards, you have to have, say, a 2,000 point award or a 1,000 point award. I noticed on some QSL cards, folks don't even put that information down, even though I do myself. And newbies don't know what the 2,000 point or 45K means, because it's kind of strange to them. But I think on EQSL cards, you have to have your number into the club, whether it's 1,600 or number 5 or whatever. You need some criteria what's going to go into the EQSL card.
Absolutely, Peter. Agreed. No, agreed. Absolutely.
So, Peter, that brings up an interesting point. So let's say that that somebody sends out this facsimile of a card, and they do put their membership number on it. What do we do about all the other cards that don't have membership numbers on it that we receive through the bureaus or mail?
Well, I don't think it was membership numbers, Peter, or sorry, Dean. It was whatever mechanism, electronic, physical. If you get a QSL card right now today, a physical QSL card coming in the mail, and it does not have the award on it, like Peter's 30K or whatever, then I can't use it. So regardless of whether it's a physical card, an electronic card, an email, it still has to have that info in there. And Peter, absolutely, I've used some EQSL cards, and all I can use it for is basically that I made a contact, because and me myself, I don't put my awards into EQSL cards I send out, so nobody can use my EQSL card except to say they made a contact with Craig, but they can't use any of my awards because it's not on there. So whatever, as we move ahead, it still has to have the actual, all the data that's required.
So, question, Craig. So would it make sense then maybe something to think about is focus on improving the methods we have, because we have EQSL, that's not perfect yet. Mm-hmm. Is there a better solution that meets our criteria for the club for EQSL, and not necessarily just open it up to more methods that may make it worse, where you have no option for adding that additional information, like logbook of the road? So it seems to me that some thoughtful digging into what our actual requirements are, what would make things better. Yeah.
So here's a question. What's the problem we're trying to solve here? It doesn't sound like we have a clear idea on that. I will tell you what I think the problem should be. All right. In survey data I get and emails I've got, 2 objections to QSLing. It takes too much time, and it does, tons of time. Nobody complains about the money, so it takes too much time. And I said 2 things, didn't I? Too much time, and it's too difficult. It's too difficult. So if we have a system that requires a lot of intricate, massaging of information before you can use it, they're not going to do that either. So unless you can solve, in my opinion, unless you solve those 2 problems, just about anything else we do doesn't help anything.
I would say, Gary, and solve it not just for new visitors, but for the membership. Right?
Yes, yeah.
Let's not make it worse.
Yeah, right.
So, Ralph, what was your idea?
Okay, my main premise is just the newer generation coming into the club. Okay, I'm a traditionalist. I like getting that paper card in the mail, just like most of you, I'm sure, do. But I've run into some that just won't buy cards, won't mess with sending cards. They'll send electronic, whether LLTW, EQSL, QRZ, whatever. Also heard at least one guy on that said if he can't do it from his smartphone, he can't do it. Now, as far as the certificate numbers, I know on EQSL you can add artwork to the card, so that there is a way to put your numbers on EQSL. Personally, I haven't done that. I have confirmed a few cards on EQSL, but I also send a physical card. So if they want my numbers are on that card. And I think, anybody that does that, if you send a physical card and you send an EQSL that doesn't have that info on them, they've got the info if they're interested. So it's mainly just for the new ones that don't want to bother with cards for whatever reason. We can still get confirmed contacts we can use on the awards. Now another piece of background that you're probably all familiar with but haven't put in context is multiple places in our bylaws we accept that EQSL is a accepted replacement for any place in the bylaws where it says in writing. And like Craig was saying, I've got, wasn't written on an 8.5 by 11. I've got QSLs that were handwritten inside a greeting card, Hallmark type card. Had all the information on it. I know at least one of them I used on an award. And the awards manager, yep, it's got all the information on it. It passes. And I don't see any reason why somebody that sends an email that's got all that information, like you said, why that shouldn't be accepted. And I don't know, Gary, are you sure? Gary mentioned that he thought the fourth area already was.
No, they don't. They don't. I checked with Bob. I did say that, but no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, like I said, as far as the bylaws go, bylaws don't specify that it has to be on a certain size piece of paper. It doesn't even say it has to be on paper. And I just don't understand. I can't see any reason why an email with all the appropriate information shouldn't be accepted. That's just kind of an entryway to get some of the new ones interested and involved. Seems like there may have been something else, but if it is, it'll come back to me later, and I'll turn it back to whoever.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, and this may be Dean's wheelhouse more so than anybody, but I'll just ask it generally. Is it possible for us to create some type of form that the Century Club uses that can kind of be generic, that has all of that information, so that it's just freely accessible? We go to it, we fill it out, it goes, it's electronic, everybody's happy. Is that possible?
Comment.
Yeah. Yes, I am going to start looking for somebody who knows how to create fillable PDF files and see if we can't just design a generic card and include it so that if we get from somebody, well, I'm a brand new ham, I don't have any QSL cards, go to the website, get the PDF file, and at least for the time being, you can send cards back to people. It doesn't cost them any money, and it's in a common format. I mean, it's not exact. I mean, if you look at, I'm looking at the website right now, we don't require much stuff on our QSL cards according to the website. And we just basically have a fillable form for this kind of format and we're done. So we've solved that piece of the problem. I was around with the EQSL thing, and quite frankly, what it turned out to be was that people could use EQSL generated QSL cards on our nets, and that was basically part of when we got more into the electronic exchange with logbook management and things like that. So, and I think we knew back then that those cards weren't complete, but yet we still said it's okay. And as long as you're fixed, he's fixed, and everything else, generally the card can be used for a number of our awards. I think personally that if members send cards to other stations, regardless of who they are, they should include their appropriate point numbers on those cards, even if they're new. You know, I just, because that news station may become a member, he may be very excited, and he goes back and he says, oh, I work Bob, KI7 PM, and I don't have any information about him other than I work with Bob. And I get a couple of VIP points from him because he's vice president, he was net control, you know, those kinds of things. So I think we all have a responsibility to do that. I'm not saying that we kick back cards or anything. I'm just saying is that we need to put our best foot forward. But yeah, I want to get somebody to create a fillable PDF file with some simple instructions on how they can fill it out, save it, send an email to whoever they're communicating with as an attachment. Done.
Yeah, and the only reason why I mentioned, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other thing I was going to support that, because instead of just us accepting whatever shows up, we actually teach that new person how to fish, how to do a QSL card in some ways. So that's a positive, Dean.
Well, and so we have a member. I'm not gonna call him out or call him out, but he made some comment that QSLing's cost him $100 a month, and I'm thinking, well, I've never spent $100 a month for QSLing, but I think really, I really think that the attitude is that he wants to get out of the QSL business altogether, you know, and go on the honor system, do logbook management. I don't know, but anyway, Keon, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And the only reason why I mention it is because that solves the problem, so to speak, globally. It solves Ralph's issue with being able to accept via email, and I forget who it was. It teaches somebody how to correctly QSL, because we're not the only place in the world that requires it or may like it. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone, if that adage is still good. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
And this discussion significantly talks about the importance of getting a little committee together and working through some of this stuff, and then bringing it back to the board what the recommendation would be, right?
Right. No, like I said, I think that there are some inconsistencies in the language that we've used, and we need to clean that up. And I think we need to figure out how Gary can communicate even better with these potential new members, so that this obstacle of QSLing isn't as large. I mean, I think going forward, we're still going to require some form of having some kind of record that can be submitted for awards. And I think, you know, that's been in our club for 45 years. Somebody else had their hand up. Joe, you're muted. Joe, you're muted.
And you're still muted, Joe.
Oh, it's on the screen. The problem's on the screen.
Yeah, I'm up here.
There you go.
Okay. I don't know what happened.
I muted you. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I have no objection to a lot of the electronic QSL services like Logbook of the World, the EQSL, there's Club Log, there's QRZ, and
I wasn't drunk, my ink pen was broken.
Those are all systems that basically you have to establish who you are before you can set up an account with them. With an email, anybody can spoof anything on email.
And if you don't believe me, how many times do you get an email like, you can win $1 million from Walmart just by doing this, that, and the other thing? And, not to be overly dramatic about it, but if I needed North Dakota on 80 meters to complete my 1,000-point award, I could make up a call sign from somebody in North Dakota, make the email look like it came from them, send it to myself, and I've got a QSL that says I work North Dakota. And, I have no problem with any of the methods where you have to establish your identity first, but I think email, we're just opening up a floodgate to a lot of potential problems. That's it.
Comment.
Yeah, this is KE3HAY. In response to Joe, here's how I get what you're saying. We have had issues with people cheating with regular cards, and eventually it catches up with you. It just is what it is. I don't think there's any foolproof method of keeping somebody from being dishonest. If they're going to be dishonest, they're going to be. I think the greater good in all of this is making sure that the processes that we have for awards stays intact beyond us. And I think that is, you're going to have more honest people doing that than we're going to have those being dishonest. And when we get somebody that is dishonest, we deal with them just like we've done before. There's no way, there's nothing that you really can do about a dishonest person. They're just going to be that. And we deal with it when it comes up. Thanks, Ralph.
Ralph?
Can I have it for a second?
Yeah, Ralph.
Yeah, Joe, I hear what you're saying, but I agree with Keon. Let me add a couple things to that. I think it was Roger that said he checks applications and he'll pull the log, the check-in archive, make sure that the station was checked in. So you're not going to work somebody that hasn't checked into the nets. Now, one thing that I have noticed, and this is just with paper physical cards, that if you say you're mobile and not logging, you get a few cards from people you didn't work. I usually log anyway, or at least try to, but you will get a few cards from people that you did not work. They're just fishing for that mobile contact that they didn't make. Now, that's no different from what you're saying, but I don't think going to an email or compared to a QSL card is going to really increase that. Like somebody said, if somebody's crooked, they're going to be crooked by any method.
So, Bob, how many emails do you think you've sent out over the last couple of years with QSL information?
Couple hundred at least.
Right. And you look at the card, and anybody can go into Photoshop and copy it and make their own version. It doesn't necessarily have to come with through the mail. If you need that North Dakota station, you just find a North Dakota station, fill out the information, and submit it for the award. And I know that's kind of harsh the way I said it, but that's as easy as it is if somebody really wants to cheat.
Yeah, but like Ralph was saying, though, your award guys have a method of checking to see if that station was checking in, if there's a question.
Well, okay, hang on. Unfortunately, the archived lists only go back so far, a couple of years. So anything beyond that,
well, I think they'll still have records of all of the awards that were presented. Right? We still doing that? The award secretaries, so I mean the awards managers have previous.
Oh, let me just time out here for a quick second. We still have a board meeting going on, but I would like to invite Mac into this conversation if the board says it's okay. He is the 10th area awards manager, and he can maybe give us some insight as to whether we're on track or not. So if nobody has any objections, then I'd like to invite him into the meeting. Okay.
My audio working, Dean?
It is.
Okay. I'm glad to participate. Lots of good discussion. I'm a traditionalist, even though I haven't been a ham radio guy all that long. A little over 10 years, but I like tradition. That, to be honest with you, is probably the single greatest thing that drew me to the Century Club was the tradition of the cards, and the gentlemanly behavior of the operators was, to me, exceptional in the ham radio world. That being said, I also see the need for possibly expanding the methods of QSL. I don't agree with some of them, and some of them I do agree with. The email thing, I personally struggle with that. It doesn't mean it couldn't be a viable thing if it had some sort of parameters. I don't know. I have personally received one.
Well, I'm in the board of directors meeting.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mac. Sorry.
I've personally received one actual card that looked like a regular QSL card via email. I never even thought twice about it. I'm like, well, I guess if I want to use this card, I'm going to have to print it out. It was kind of a weird call sign too. Whiskey Lima 0 or Whiskey Lima 7, mobile New York, if I recall. So when I went to print it out, I got it printed out an 8.5 by 11 card. I'm like, well, this ain't gonna work. So I manipulated the pixels and printed out a regular 3.5 by 5 card. And I think, if I recollect, I used that for 45th Oakleaf. And I never even thought otherwise about it, because to me, it looked like an actual QSL card that I presented, scanned a copy, and sent it to the guy that I used for my awards. I liked the idea of a fillable PDF format. I would like to also recommend that we make a couple of other formats available right next to that, which would be Word or Excel or even Publisher, and just let the new ham pick whichever ones fits them. And I don't know who could make those up, but I have a Publisher card that I'm willing to share with the club that anybody could download and transplant the information to if they desired. As far as EQSL goes, anybody can use EQSL. You can go into your profile of EQSL and you can put your necessary information for awards on EQSL. There's 4 lines available. So obviously, if you're into XTT, you're not going to fill a tenth of what Peter has on 4 lines. But you could put a master number. You could put your 100 points for the 4 main bands. And if you work PSK and RIDI and all that, you could put your 100-point search for that. If you had 1K or 2K, you could probably get that put in there. You would have to really abbreviate, but it could be done. As far as checking fake cards, I agree with Roger. I have actually back-checked using Club Archives on a call sign that I did not recognize, and I don't even like feeling like I'm put into a position to have to check to see if a QSL card is righteous. That kind of actually upsets me as an awards manager. But I did run across that, and I've done that twice. In one occasion, I confirmed that it was a good, or at least it was potentially a good contact, because both stations were checked into the stated net. On the other one, the station was not checked into the net. So I did not pull the guy's covers like really super hard. I just said, this card is not good. You're going to need to send a replacement. And the award applicant did send a replacement card, and nothing else was said. So things can be done, but it is arduous extra work for an awards manager. I take being an awards manager very seriously, as I'm sure that anybody that's sitting in this conference call does also. By the way. So I'll tell you about that. Other than that, I like the potential of making other avenues available, but I think that it needs to be not too widely expounded. I do not agree, and this is just my opinion. I do not agree with using LOTW or what's the other one? QRZ, because they're logs, they're completed logs. If there was a way that you could convert a contact on LOTW or QRZ to a card, then I would more than entertain it. I would say, awesome, let's roll. But I don't believe there is a way to convert a contact entry on LOTW or QRZ to an actual QSL card, whether it's an electronic or otherwise. So I'm a big fan of the QSL card. I think it's a part of the hobby, and I think that people that want to do HF radio but do not want to do QSL cards is kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around. And I'm sorry that I'm a traditionalist, but I am. And I think that is part of the hobby, and I really not like it if the hobby in general migrated away from QSL cards, and using that as an excuse to me is really nothing more than an excuse. I don't not think it's difficult, and I don't think it's expensive. And if somebody can take the time to pass a general or an extra class exam, they sure in the heck should be able to fill out a QSL card, whether it's electronic or physical. That's my opinion. That's what I have that's what I think about this issue, and I'm okay with discussing it. I think it's a good thing to discuss.
A couple things, if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay. And one is just kind of a follow-up on what Roger was saying. I noticed lately, if you look up the net archives from the club website, it only goes back, like you were saying, a couple of years. It used to go, I don't know if it's still up on Rick's website or not, where you could go back to net, back into the I forget, back into 2000 and before.
Yep.
So if that is all available, check into that. Yep. The only problem I will mention with that is that, and this goes for paper cards or electronic, is when they put the dates on there, especially the ones that write the dates on the cards. Okay, number one, there's some people that have a big problem between UTC date and calendar date.
That's a fact.
And then the other one,
same as our nets this week.
And then there's others that can't decide whether June 8th 12 is 6/8/12 or 8/6/12. And sometimes even if it's labeled on the box above what order they're in, they'll write it the other way. And others are just their penmanship is so sloppy that you can't tell what that number is. Which actually going electronic would probably solve that part of it. Anyway, with that, I'll step aside and let others comment.
So yeah, I just want to go back to this to make sure we stay focused on what I believe, and I don't know if everybody believes this or not, that based on the information I have, this is really a time issue for people. And you can say, well, if they have a chance to study for a test, that's maybe, I don't know, it took me about 10 days of studying to get my extra class exam, and I was done. There was no more investment after that. QSL cards are a lifetime investment in the time you gotta put into them. And the reason they like EQSL is because, but this doesn't get everything we need. The reason they like, and you may be able to put some of your awards, but you can't put, it's difficult to put variable information into EQSL. Things like your mobile or portable in a tri-state state, you know, that gets a little more difficult, at least based on my experience. But the reason they like it is they can take the ADFI file off their log, upload it to EQSL, and they're done. They can do hundreds or thousands of contacts literally in minutes, and it's just so simple and so easy. Now, I'm not saying we can ever get there. Don't get me wrong. I think that is great. But whatever we do, and this card that Dean's talking about, one of the questions I have is, how do you fill in the information on the card? Is it done from a, oh, that's what I was afraid of. You know, quite frankly, I don't fill out any of my cards anymore because I print out a label and stick them on, right? So I'm not sure how helpful because I really do believe the time thing. And I've heard this. I had one guy, this was a little while ago, but I get quite a few emails, and the survey has said that too. Time is a big thing. And maybe we don't want those people, but time is a big thing. And I had this one guy say, I made 30 contacts in your net last night, and I just spent the last hour because they were all direct QSLs, right? I said, well, you can use our bureau. That will help you. And I explained the advantage and mostly about the time. The bureau saves you a lot of time. We talk about the money. It saves a lot of time too, because you don't have to address envelopes and put stamps on them and do all that kind of stuff. So, and I don't, you know, I think he maybe checked it a few more times and then he was gone. So, but anyhow, that's my rant.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I think somebody said go.
Go.
First of all, I'm still catching up on QSL cards from the eyeball. You know, I got a special event and club calls, and I have 2-inch stack here that's about to go in the mail. So I understand the time thing. The other thing is that we're not going to make everybody happy. We can get the majority, but we're not going to please everybody all the time. And you'll have a haircut like mine if you try. That's about all I have.
So Gary, my idea about the fillable PDF was really geared at the guy that got licensed yesterday and he's on the radio tonight because he got confirmation that he's got his SEC record updated, doesn't have any QSL cards, and he works 10 people on the early net. This is a vehicle in which he can confirm those 10 contacts. It's not a long-term solution. You know, a long-term solution is getting him to use NetLogger where he's capturing data and that data is exportable to some other method.
Well, you know, Dean, and I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. I just want us to be aware of the fact that doesn't solve 90% of what the objection is to QSLing. I think it helps, and I think it helps the guy who wants to QSL. We do. Don't get me wrong. We have people that want to QSL that come to our nest, and they're okay with it. They're new. They haven't got their cards. I think that helps those folks out. it doesn't help the folks out who say, and we got somebody who checks into our nets regularly who won't QSL. He's an old net controller at K6 ODI. And he just says, I'm not going to QSL. So.
Yeah, right.
No, EQSL. And he has got his, he does EQSL and he has got his EQSL account fixed. I worked him earlier when he was Portable, Nevada, and he said, oh, I EQSL. And that's part of why I push him for the email thing, because we traded emails on this for quite some time. And apparently, eventually, he has got his, because he had the contact on EQSL, but it came up as I worked him in California. He hadn't upgraded the account to show that he'd moved to Nevada. Last couple times I worked him on 40 and 75, both fixed in Nevada. It was on EQSL. I had it before the net was done.
You guys,
one real quick comment.
Sorry, you guys, the background probably laughing. Here's Danny from Bulgaria. I worked him last weekend on RTTY. I've got his card through EQSL. There it is, right? This is where we need to get, I think. It has to have all the information.
But it potentially can have all the information. It's just that, so for example, if he's a mobile station, he needs to record that on the card, and they don't.
No, that's different, Dean. Absolutely. If he's mobile, he doesn't record it on the card, then I cannot accept the card, and I wouldn't even accept it or send it off to my awards area manager for review, because it's not on it. But yes, if there's a mechanism to make it even better and easier, fantastic. But that's what I'm saying, right? This is international for me. Well, international for you guys too. But and I got it within a week, right? Perfect card, fantastic, all the information. My card going back to him does not have my 1K, my 2K, my any of that stuff on it. If he was into needing those for his progressive awards, what I sent back to him would not be appropriate. It just wouldn't work. But this is a start.
So in general, I think it's a good discussion. I'm a little pressed for time, so I'm not sure where we're going with this tonight. What do we walk away and do? Do we get that motion back and get a committee going, or do we? I don't know. What's our next step? What are we accomplishing here?
Well, I hope we've given Ralph some feedback that he can walk away with. Okay, and that was my only goal, is to give him some feedback so that if he's going to resubmit his motion, he's got some more data to go by.
Makes sense.
Okay, and that was the reason for discussion. Okay, and I think we've accomplished this, and I think, Ralph, I'll open this up. If you in a couple of weeks decide you want to get together and have some more discussion, we'll get a Zoom meeting set up and we can do it. I got no problems with that. Okay, and because I do think there's some things that need to be clarified, and I think when we started, I said that I think Ralph is trying to get some of this stuff on the surface so that we're consistent with the message that we're sending. So,
there's certainly an overwhelming response that says let's do something. So I think it's good, and I think the discussion's good. Go ahead, Ralph. Were you going to say something?
No, I was going to say something. As past president, according to the rules, I'm part of the board, so I can speak to it. So I don't want anybody getting mad at me. I only have two things I want to say. I want to say that we need to consider, as tough as the awards managers' jobs are, how much additional pressure we're putting on them. Fred, you'll understand, and I know Mac will understand. And number two, if you're going to put that PDF out on the website, are you going to put a mechanism in place to allow them to use it for a month or 2 months, or are half the members going to go to using that on the website? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Real quick info. I just took a look at 40 sideband on the archives, and it goes to June of 2016.
Actually, as it goes, we've got data back to 2010, and it should be there. But the problem is the drop down.
You're still on, Joe?
Yeah, this is going to be a long one.
The drop down doesn't have the old net names on it.
Yeah.
And I will talk to Matt about fixing that, because 2016 was the date that we cut over to NetLogger, and we had to put 3905 in the front of the net names. So we've got the data going back to about April of 2010.
Okay. Sorry, guys, if I could. So Fred, to go back to your where do we go from here? This is fantastic. And I think we're moving ahead, and I think it's great. Where I think we need to go from here is not just to say, Ralph, come back 2 weeks later with something different. Okay. We need to put together people to help Ralph talk about this, talk some things through, and some IT people, which was in part of his motion, some IT people to help him. What are the possibilities? So now I don't think we need a motion to do that. Ralph can go off and then pick some people, or Dean can pick some people, or somebody can recommend some people. But that's where I think we are right now. Fantastic discussion. This is good, very progressive. But let's not just dump it back on Ralph. We need a couple of people with Ralph, with some IT support, just to talk through the potentials, the options, and then come back to the board, in my mind. Done.
I forget which one. Like him and his girl was banging one night.
Getting a lot of sidetracked here. Listen, I think Craig's suggestion is good. Maybe you want to bop in, or maybe you go every week. I don't know, Ralph, to the Wednesday to get input from the population of the club. Anyway, as far as this meeting goes and where we go next.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there any more discussion?
Oh, wait a second. I wanted to bring up something. And Fred, is this the meeting where we would nominate people for vice president, or is that the next meeting?
December.
Next meeting.
Excuse me?
The December meeting,
December?
Gary.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Because I'm going to ask for a motion.
Motion
go ahead,
to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Back time.
Oh, okay. You're all set, Ralph?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So I got a second with no objections. We're complete here.